We're going to be going over how to check up Linux today because everyone should do this because Linux boxes can be hacked, they can get viruses, they can do all the other things any other computer can happen, albeit maybe a lower percentage than like let's say a Windows box, but it can still happen. So let's do a checkup. We're going to be going over looking for vulnerabilities, exploits, and just seeing, hey, are we already compromised? All these things are super important when it comes to Linux. And honestly, if you have a Linux machine, it's just good to run this every couple months just to see where you're at. Or if you're looking at maybe a server in a data center somewhere, I would definitely run this and see, hey, okay, is there any privilege escalation hacks that can happen? All these different things are super important to know about your box. So let's get into it. Now, we're going to start on the desktop in this GitHub project. Now, this isn't mine. I actually forked the Windows version during my Windows Checkup series and made some changes to it. However, the Linux version of this is fantastic. I don't want to change anything. I thought they did a phenomenal job with this script. So what we're going to do is go into our terminal. We're going to download it directly. Now, if you look in our listing, I've already downloaded it right here. It's just a bash script that we can run. So we're going to do that script. We're going to run it. When we're running it, I am doing it with a -S. This is super fast in stealth mode. It will take about 2 minutes to do. If you don't do it with the -S, it will take upwards of like 20 to 30 minutes, maybe even longer, depending on the system. So very important to know. Also, the legend of this. Pay close attention to any red and especially be looking for red-yellow markers when you run this test. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and let this run all the way through. It should take about 2 to 3 minutes. All right, and we're done. You see it actually runtime for my computer, which is the AMD 5600X on this box, 2 minutes, 28 seconds. First, it looks for password and credential files in your home directory. This could be a place to exploit or find your password, so pay close attention to this. All this looks fine. I know there's nothing here, but if you are worried about something, you could always do like a cat and then just say, hey, what's in this service file? And this would actually print out. If you're looking for stuff, this is obviously just a service file, so there's no actual passwords, but if you see like a text or an XLS or some form of regular document, there's chances are a good password stored there. Moving on from here, interesting writable files owned by me or writable to everyone. This is an important one because you might see like a script file in here, and if anyone can execute it, that could be a vulnerability. When flipping through here, most of this stuff is just what I use for my video rendering, so for me it's not that big a deal, but overall nothing too crazy to worry about here. Again, look for red and red-yellow, but again, I'm flipping through just looking for any scripts to write. Next up is readable history or any of that type of thing. Very important to look at because like your bashrc could reveal a password if someone put like an alias into it. Or there might be something that you typed in, like let's say you're SSHing into some type of server and you did it in like a plain text password or something of that nature. A lot of times a hacker would look at these files and say, hey, oh, there's the plain text password and be able to hack you. So pay close attention to this. Next up is backup files. This is just a good place to just see, hey, do I have any backups? Or a good place to cull your system and actually purge a lot of this stuff. Most of this is like just old logs and things of that nature where I could just remove. But it's kind of cool just to see where all the backups on a system reside. It does a listing of your home directory. And this is probably one of the most important things out of this entire script that's run. Modified interesting files in the last 5 minutes. This is something I pay close attention to. What is happening on my system in the last 5 minutes? What's being written? These really give you an indication of what's your system's actually doing. Looking at all these, you can see Cup's error log. That's my printer service that's doing stuff. The actual system journal and user journal are being written to. My X session, which is the graphic user interface. My Brave browser's running a whole bunch of stuff, which, you know, not surprising. I got Brave open. If it's Chrome, it'll be Chrome in here. Whatever it might be, or Firefox. They all write a lot of files out, which that's normal. Steam, it's actually up and going here, so again, you're going to be having a constant write to your directories. Variety, I use this to actually change and make these pretty backgrounds appear. So all this is normal for me, but pay close attention to this specific section. Next up, we have our very first red yellow. This is considered a vulnerability almost always. So pay close attention to this. This is actually auto jump. And why it has problems is it has write privileges. So in a server environment, I would never use auto jump, which auto jump, it just makes me so I can jump to a specific directly really quickly in ZSH. So it's just more of a quality of life thing. For this system, I'm going to leave it, but it's interesting to see that auto jump itself is very exploitable. So if you see someone using auto jump, why it's exploitable is it has execute privileges and write privileges to everyone. So if you have access to the system, I could go in, modify this specific auto jump to maybe add extra functionality to the system that might have some very bad consequences for the user. So I would remove auto jump if I was really worried about it. And obviously in a business, I would never use it. But that actually showed up in the file scripts and all this under this section. SH files in path. These are all the things that can be run right out of the gate. Now, this is just extra SSHs that were added after the base install. So it doesn't show everything, but kind of what has been modified on the system. And in red, you can see, hey, you own this script. This is something I specifically created and put in the path directory, which is Titus Craft. That's my Minecraft server, easy way to get in, but I have SSH keys, password authentication. It's kind of a pain in the butt to type all that in. So I actually made a script to do it for me to add all those keys. Not exactly as secure. Again, I wouldn't recommend doing this in a business, but for me, I would rather sacrifice a little bit of that security to have the quality of life of being easily able to jump on that server without having to put the SSH file in and then also the password every single time to where I could just run this script and do it. I don't have the password set as plain text, so it's fine. Interesting files. This is something just kind of look over. I haven't really seen anything exploitable from here just yet, but there is some really kind of cool little notes here. Like, hey, there's a CVE about this specific thing. You might want to read about this CVE. So you can actually look up CVE right here, which if you're not familiar, this is just a vulnerability that you might have related to this file. So it's important to look these up when securing a system. Searching uncommon password files, most of this is fine, but definitely you can go ahead and check these out or just cat them. Where your keyring files reside, again, most of this is encrypted, nothing's stored in plain text, but just look through it. Pay close attention to this line right here, unexpected auth lines. This is authentication through SSH. Now, in most instances of servers and also any workstations I have, I like to shut down SSH. SSH is one of the most exploitable ports and one of the most attacked ports, if not the most attacked port in existence. Of course, maybe on a Windows box, you got RDP, which is 3389, that gets attacked a little more than this one. But on a Linux box, SSH is something I almost always close down, especially outside to an external source. Very, very few times do I ever leave this open. And if I do, I always secure it with keys, not just plain text passwords. Software information. This is a good little section. Look through it, see what all software you're using, and also just to kind of see, hey, is there any exploits to certain things? It does SQL checks or Postgres SQL right here, so it's important to kind of look through this. It does list all users and groups, which is nice, just kind of give you a heads up. Hey, what users and groups do I have on this system? And another very important section here, active ports. This is what's actively happening on this system. It shows what port it's using, what program's using it, and how it's interfacing. Again, super important. As with my Windows checkup, you always want to be checking your active ports. What is being used on this system? So you can look up and see what exact port is being used by what. This is being used by Brave. This is using by Cloud Drive, which is my Synology drive. This is Steam. But look for things that are in here that you may not recognize, because you should be able to recognize everything that's actively communicating on your box in any operating system. Iep Table Rules. This is kind of like your firewall for the system. Usually I set this up with UFW. I haven't really configured this box much. This is pretty much wide open, but you should have like a deny all rule for incoming and then set up a proper firewall. I've done a video, I'll try and link it up here, how to secure a server and set up a firewall on your Linux box. And then we have the service objects. Just take a peek through here. Look for anything red, like this is something to concern yourself with. This is a team viewer daemon that's being started with UID 0, which is root, which that is considered a vulnerability, something that if I use mainly TeamViewer to remote into other spots and you need this daemon running to use TeamViewer. But if this was an actual server, I would never put TeamViewer on it. But I don't see anything else in the actual services directory to cause alarm. But just, again, look through here. Just pay close attention to those red. Cron jobs. This is the things that get run on your system every so often. It could be hourly, by minute, daily. Just look through each one. And if you're curious to see what's in each one of these, you can go ahead and cat these files. It shows you the directory that they're located in and the actual file that exists. So you might want to cat these out if you're unsure, or maybe your system's doing something kind of funky every now and again. It could be a cron job going off. So it's important to kind of know what cron jobs are running on your system, which is just timed jobs. All right, here we go. Binary process permissions. This is something, again, to pay close attention to. We have our second red yellow. This is something that is running, that is in the home directory, and it has write privileges or execute privileges for the user, meaning these could be changed around. Pay attention to what these are. Again, if you can't name each one of these, you might want to remove that program or at least stop it and see what happens. Because right now I can tell you git status. This is what I use for GitHub desktop. I have Steam, which is for Steam, and then Synology Drive. So I can name each one of these, but pay close attention to these because these are running all the time. And then finally, we have some signature stuff. This is kind of just a good overview where it shows AppArmor, SE Linux. Hey, what is configured on this system? Typically, you're using SE Linux or AppArmor, not both, but it's just important to know. If you're on Fedora, it'll be SE Linux. If you're on Ubuntu, I think it's AppArmor, but it might be SE Linux. I can't remember. But definitely look at these because this is a good way to limit certain programs. With AppArmor or SE Linux, you can make certain profiles and say, hey, I only want this program to do this one thing in the system. I don't want it going crazy. I don't want to just give it root privileges and have it go wild. I only want it access to, let's say, the USB drive in the system or something outside the home folder. And then there's just a bunch of information in here, nothing too crazy. The path variable, this is just places where it's going to look for executable devices when I'm just on the root or the actual home directory of my terminal. I did add this specific path. It's something I added that's not in the system. That's why it shows up red, yellow, because I like to drop like some scripts and other things that I use all the time directly into this bin folder and then just have it run no matter where I'm at. But if there is a whole bunch of red, yellow here, definitely pay close attention and figure out how that's happening. Typically, this will be in your bash RC file, or in my case, I'm using ZSH. It'll be in my ZSH RC file. And we are back to the beginning here. But again, pay close attention to this legend. I can't emphasize enough. Watch out for your red, yellows, and pay attention to the reds. And that's how I do a kind of a checkup. This is a fantastic script. It was updated 6 days ago, and it's constantly updated. I've been using it for years now, and I always have loved this script. Again, the Windows version, I'm not too much of a fan of, so much that I forked it and changed it quite a bit because I didn't like a lot of things it was doing. But when running these scripts, it's really important to know, don't run them as sudo. Just run them as your user, see what it finds, because that's really how we're testing these. It's important not just to grab everything and run it all as sudo. Because I know most beginning Linux users either run as root or type sudo and whatever command they're looking for all the time, which is a really bad habit that you need to break yourself up. But that's it for our checkup on Linux. How'd I do? What'd I miss? Is there something you do that helps you check up your Linux box? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, give it a like. Helps with the algorithm. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.